Hey there, guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Cerise Fairfax, and I'm coming at you from the north coast of the Dominican Republic in a province called Puerto Plata in an area called Sosua. It's a municipality, and also in the little area that I live in called Los Charamicos. I live where I love, and I love where I live. Guys, today is story time. And today's story is a little sad. Spoiler alert, it does end in death. But this for me was it was a surprise. You see, this gentleman, he contacted me months ago and he gave me his story. And then he contacted me months after when I didn't publish his story yet and gave me more to the story. So the first story that he gave me, I just had on hold for a while, but now that he gave me the updated version and he has passed away, I thought I would put this one on the front burner and pay homage to him as I also talk to you guys about his story. Okay, so the first part of the story goes like this. Remember, guys, the story is always true, but the name is fictitious. I hide the names just out of consideration and privacy for the people involved in the story. So we're going to name him Charles. Charles was 60 years old when he passed away a few months ago, but when he first started to come to the Dominican Republic, he was 40 years old. He never wanted children. He never really wanted to get married. But once he turned 40, he did want to travel a lot more. And he's from New York City. Now, where he used to work, he met a lot of Dominicans, and the Dominicans were always good to him. He would go to Dominican restaurants, and he even learned a few Dominican, like Spanish words, and he worked with a few Dominicans, and he always felt like, okay, he's going to visit the Dominican Republic. He only came here for the culture and the traditions, but he fell in love with the people and the climate. So he started to come back here more and more often, and he met a woman, and her name, we will name her Luz, which means light. She was such a beautiful light. Now, she was actually a little bit older than him. She already had her children, and she was even a grandmother. Now, Charles, he asked Luz, he said, listen, would you like to come to the United States? You don't have to work. You don't have to do much, just can cook for me, clean our home, and just be there for me when I get there. And she thought, wow, if she does that here, she was doing that here in the Dominican Republic anyway. The only thing different would be she wouldn't have her family, but she was tired and she wanted a break. She wanted to be with Charles. She wanted to see what the United States was all about. And she really did just want to relax. She loved her grandchildren, but she was a mom ever since she was very young, and all she did all her life was raise children. So she wanted a little bit of a break, and she went to the United States with Charles, and they lived happily ever after until death did them part. Now, what happened was, after 10 years of being in New York, Luz, she got cancer, and it was all through her body. She didn't even know she had cancer until she started to feel sick, and they went to the doctor, and she found out she had stage 4 cancer. She died pretty rapidly after that, and it was hard for Charles because he was with her for 10 years. At this time, he was 50 years old, and he vowed to just never replace her. But because he did love the Dominican Republic so much, he continued to come back. Now, for the first 5 years, he would come back here and he would spend time with Luz's family, and he would do things with Luz's children and grandchildren. But it started to really depress him. He was seeing the children grow, and he saw Luz in the children. Her daughter looked just like her, even sounded like her, and it was too much for him. And he started to feel very depressed when he would come to the Dominican Republic. So he started to cut himself off from the family a little bit more, and he started to visit different parts of the Dominican Republic. That's when he came to Sosua. Initially, he was going to La Vega, Jarabacoa, he was going to Santo Domingo, Santiago, but then he decided that, you know what, he's going to come to the playground and just have fun. Well, he got here to Sosua, and he started to have health problems. ED, erectile difficulties, dysfunction. At first, it started after Luz passed away. He didn't have any intimacy with anyone, but once he started to have intimacy with women, it was here in the Dominican Republic when he would visit, and it would be hard for him to keep it up. Okay. And then it went to being hard for him to get it up. This became a huge problem for him. He went to the doctor, and the doctor said to him, listen, this is very normal with men, and it could be psychological, it could be physical. We're going to do a bunch of tests, and we're going to see what is up. And the doctor didn't find anything physically wrong with Charles. Now, he just said to Charles, he said, listen, it's got to be psychological. You got to get past it. You got to just get with a woman that you care for, a woman that you really like you did with Luz, and spend some time with her. Get to know her. Don't just go to Sosua and try to get with all these young girls. Maybe you do need someone that you can share your emotions with. Now, this doctor knew Luz very well because he met Luz even before she had cancer and during her cancer process, and he knew the type of relationship that Charles and Luz had. Charles decided that maybe it was time for him to move on. And again, not necessarily replace Luz, but try to find someone just as special. So he got here and he started to talk to different women. And he met a lot of nice women on Pedro Clisante. Pedro Clisante is not just about working girls. In the last video that I put up before this one with my buddy Richard, he went into detail about how many nice women you can find in Sosua. And so Charles, he did find a really nice young lady. Now, this was after a while. And once he found her, he thought for sure this was going to be amazing. So they started to talk back and forth, and, he knew she was going to be asking him for some money every now and again. He was expecting her to, kind of rely on him and lean on his shoulder financially, which he didn't mind so much. He didn't have children, remember, and he was still helping take care of Luz's grandchildren and Luz's children, but they didn't really ask for much, and they were self-sufficient. Plus, after Luz passed on, he sold the house that they owned together, and he gave a large portion of the money to Luz's children here in the Dominican Republic, and they bought a piece of land and built a house. So they didn't feel comfortable asking him for too much after that because they were already well taken care of. And that was really nice, wasn't it? He said that he got over $600,000 for the house. It was a beautiful big house in New York City. It was handed on down to him from his parents, and it was renovated. Him and Luz were living in it. And when he sold it, he said he took $300,000 and he gave $300,000 to Luz's children and Luz's grandchildren. That's a lot of money for Dominicans, right? Anyway, I digress. So he did share with them. And so he wasn't giving them a lot of money. Every now and again, he would send them gifts. But this one girl, she was really leaning on Charles for a lot. And they would have late night conversations, early morning conversations, midday conversations. She would ask him in the morning what he ate for breakfast. She would give him a shout in the morning and send him beautiful text messages like what most Dominicans will do. In the morning, they will send you beautiful messages of love. Now, he didn't care if she was sincere or not. All he cared about was just having somebody that he could talk to every morning, talk to every afternoon, talk to every evening before bed. He really wanted someone that was going to show him emotions and just be there for him. He was a little lonely. Now, whenever he came to the Dominican Republic, which was every 3 months, she would make herself available to him. He didn't know if she was a working girl. He didn't know if she had a family. He didn't know if she had a husband. He didn't care about all that. He just cared about the connection. Now, every single time he'd visit her, he'd just go out with her, but he could never get it up. And so one day she said to him, "Why don't you just get Viagra?" And he was like, "Well, there we go. Like, where can I get it? Like, what is it all about?" And she's like, "Well, there's a lot of men that come here and they get Viagra and they don't even need it, but they just like to get it because it helps you stay hard." And he's like, "Well, I've heard about it a lot. You hear about it on TV, you hear about it in the movies." He's like, "But I never thought about taking it." She's like, "Well, why don't we try it?" So he went on the beach with her and they bought some Viagra, and heaven. He was like, "Oh my gosh." And this is when he messaged me and he said, "Cerise, I have a story time." And he wanted me to do the story time, just letting you guys know that, there's life after, like, I guess, lack of love. He wanted me to tell you guys that there is hope. He's like, this is such a common situation. A lot of guys have erectile dysfunction, and some people think that it is something that will never go away. He's like, after he used that pill, he felt like he was a man again. So now he goes back home and he starts feeling a little bit of chest pain, but he goes online and he looks and he's like, does Viagra cause any chest pain? And ideally, it doesn't. But he didn't realize that he had an existing health concern, low blood pressure. And this was a problem. And so he didn't talk to the doctor about it. He would come here and he would, see the girl, he'd take the Viagra, and then every time he'd go home, he realized that he had a sore chest. So finally he went to the doctor and he told the doctor about taking Viagra, and the doctor said, "Listen, you can get past this problem without Viagra. You don't have a physical issue here. It's psychological for you, and I feel like you're just missing your wife a lot. You got to get back into that groove." Now, at that time, he also found out that he has low blood pressure and he was put on low blood pressure pills. And he's like, "Don't be taking any pills off the beach. You don't want to do that." And so it was about a month later, just before he was supposed to come down here, he had a heart attack. And he went to the hospital, and that's when he messaged me again. And he's like, "Cerise, I didn't hear you do my story time yet, which is good, but here's an update." He's like, "I don't know if it's connected to the Viagra, but I eat them like candy when I'm in the Dominican Republic. So maybe just tell the guys, be careful if they have low blood pressure." He's like, "I'm not a medical professional. I'm not somebody who can give advice to anyone." But he's like, "Yeah, just tell the guys to be careful." But he said that he was taking these pills like candy. And I don't know what he meant by that. Well, he came down with his friend the last time he came down. Him and his friend were here, and he introduced me to his friend. His friend's a very kind guy, and the two of them were on their way back, and they were at the airport, and Charles passed out right there in the lineup. He held his chest, he clutched his chest, and he died right there in the airport. They rushed him to the hospital to see if they could revive him, see if they could help him, and nothing. His friend messaged me, and his friend said to me, Cerise, I want you to know this because Charles would talk to me about your story times all the time. Charles was always having me on your story time. We'd be sitting on the beach listening to story time. We'd be at work listening to story time. He's like, story time is one of the reasons why I even came. They sound fun. They sound interactive. The chicas are great. And he's like, and I was not disappointed during my 7-day vacation. He's like, but it was really sad to see my friend die at the airport, but he died doing what he loves most and what he loves best. He said, he told me that he should not have taken the Viagra this trip, and he kept saying that he felt heart palpitations. He's like, but I took the Viagra and I felt fine. I didn't feel any chest pains. So he asked me, can you please do a story time and just send love out to Charles? And so here is the story time. Now, I don't want to make you guys afraid. I know a lot of you guys buy those pills, and I see a lot of you guys in the pharmacies and on the beach. And, you know, even sometimes when I'm chilling with a dude friend, he'll buy a couple of pills. And this is a very common thing. But if you're on any medications for low blood pressure, if you have any history of heart disease or heart attacks or blood vessels, anything at all, make sure before you take any pills, speak to a medical professional. Once you get down here, things become unpredictable with a lot. I've even had guys tell me straight up that they would never take Viagra, but then they do when they're here. I was chilling and chatting with a guy one time, and he said, Cerise, I take that pill because it helps to keep me harder longer, and I get more money. I get more of my money's worth when I'm with a woman. So he gets to hold on to the woman longer, because he says there's been times where he was here, and as soon as he has his release, boom, the woman's like, okay, bye, Poppy. And she wants her money and she wants to go. He said, so he learned to be able to take those pills and stay harder longer. He says sometimes the girls are like, oh, I gotta go. Like, you're taking too long now. And he laughed about that. But he said to me that he'll take those pills. And so a lot of guys do that. And it's just something. But I guess this is just a public service announcement in some ways, that speak to your doctor first and see if you are able to take the pill before you take your life. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Cerise Fairfax, and Storytime is every Thursday, and Lifestyles is every Tuesday on my channel. I wrote this book right here on the heart of a Dominican woman. It has 30 story times at the back of the book, really touching stories, and it talks about different things in the book. It's not just how to win the heart of a Dominican woman, it's how to understand the Dominican woman. Thank you so much for joining me. Please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed your time here. And also, please go ahead and subscribe. Share this video with your friends and be good to yourself out there. Make sure that you make today count. God bless you.